It was a cold December night, the kind of miserable cold that cuts to the bone, but I had a date with Betty Lou. Earlier that week, I somehow found the courage to ask out my crush, and she said yes. She was beautiful, smart, funny. She had it all and then some. The girl who made every head turn in school was going out with me. I picked her up from her house around 8:30. She dressed up a little bit for the night, wearing a dark green sweater that matched her eyes to a T. Her dad gave me a polite but stern nod as we left. I knew he wasn't sure about me yet, but frankly, I could care less. She was the only one who mattered to me. Our first stop was her friend Sharon's house. Betty Lou had to drop something off, probably a Christmas gift or something. We stayed to chat for a bit, probably so her friend could size me up. Girls are weird that way. I'd never dream of bringing Betty Lou to my buddy's house, let alone ask for my buddy's opinion about her. Sharon's mom made us cocoa, and the three of us laughed about school, plans for the holiday, and just shot the breeze about this, that, and the other. It was the kind of warm, simple moment that made you feel like the world was a good and safe place. After leaving Sharon's, she suggested we head out toward Lake Herman Road, something I hadn't expected but was excited to hear. I'd heard about that spot from some friends, a quiet place on the outskirts of town where you could park, talk, who knows what else. The night felt alive with possibility. The drive there was peaceful. The hum of the engine and the soft sound of Betty Lou's voice filled the car. She was telling me about her plans for college, how she wanted to study art and maybe become a teacher. I couldn't stop glancing over at her, the way her face lit up when she talked about the future. She was amazing, everything about her. It wasn't much more than a gravel pull-off near a water pumping station, but it was private enough to feel like our own little world, away from everything. We parked on the gravel and turned off the car. The night was quiet, the kind of stillness that's almost unsettling if you think about it for too long. But with Betty Lou next to me, it felt just right. We talked about everything and nothing all at the same time, laughing softly to ourselves as if the world outside didn't exist. At some point, a car passed on the road. I didn't think much of it at the time. People came and went along Lake Herman Road often enough. But a little while later, another car pulled up and stopped. It parked about 10 feet from my side of the car, which was extremely odd. Most people just drove by, and those that parked usually wanted as much privacy as possible. I know we did. I felt a knot of unease tighten in my stomach. I tried to play it cool for Betty Lou's sake, but I couldn't ignore the tension in the air. I glanced toward the other car, trying to make out the driver, but it was too dark. The headlights were off and the figure inside was just a shadow. I thought it could be someone who needed help, or maybe another car was coming to meet them. But then the door opened. The person came out, and I realized they didn't need help, and they weren't meeting someone. The sound of shots tore through the night air and shattered the quiet. The shots weren't aimed at us directly, but the car. Glass from the passenger window sprayed as I instinctively ducked. Betty Lou screamed, and I knew we had to get out. I reached for her hand, and we scrambled to open the passenger door. She got out first, moving fast, her breath coming in short, panicked waves. I was right behind her, but as I tried to follow, I felt a sharp, burning pain at the back of my head. Everything blurred. I dropped to the ground, the gravel cold and unforgiving beneath me. I heard her running. I wanted to call out to her, to tell her to keep going, to find help, but my voice wouldn't come. Another series of shots rang out, echoing through the still night. Then, silence. A heavy, suffocating silence. I don't know how long I lay there, my mind drifting in and out, my body too weak to move. As I lay there bleeding and unable to move, all I could think about was Betty Lou. Was she okay? Did she get away? I wanted to see her face, to hear her laugh, to tell her how much this night had meant to me. But deep down, I knew the truth. Neither of us were going to survive the night. The night felt heavier than usual. the warm July air pressing down on me as I watched Darlene drive up the road to my house. I'd been waiting for hours for her to pick me up. There were better ways for me to spend my 4th of July, but all my anger and frustration immediately faded when I saw her. She wore a tight blue dress with white floral print and a silver watch that matched a wedding band that I hadn't given her. She looked amazing. "Get in, I'm starving," she said. I lit a smoke and got in. She drove us to a crowded fast food spot, Mr. Ed's. We drove around the building and couldn't find a parking spot, and that's when she said it. "Let's go somewhere quiet." "Thought you were hungry." "Blue Rock Springs Park sound good? We'll have a great view of the fireworks." "All right, that does sound good. Let's go." Darlene and I pulled into the gravel lot. The park was usually quiet, the perfect spot for us to get to know one another. Secretly, I hoped that she would leave her husband so we could stop running around in secret, but she'd never do that. She loved him. Not enough to stay loyal, but just enough to stay married. "Michael," she said, smiling at me, "you look like you're somewhere else." I grinned, snapping back to reality. "Just tired. I had a long day." She gave me an understanding nod and spun the radio dial. Soft music filled the car, mingling with the chirping crickets outside. Her laughter broke the silence between songs. We were parked near the entrance, just far enough from the main road to feel hidden, but just close enough to leave if we wanted to. I glanced around the dimly lit lot, noticing another car pull up about 25 yards to our left. The headlights clicked off, leaving the silhouette of a vehicle barely visible in the dark. "Do you know them?" I asked, my voice lowering instinctively. Darlene glanced briefly at the car and shrugged. "No, but I'll tell you what I do know," she said as she leaned in and kissed me, but I pulled back. "Is that your husband?" "No," she said. "Who is it then?" "Don't worry about it, it's nothing," Darlene said. Her calmness eased me a bit, but I couldn't shake the feeling. Then, all of a sudden, the car abruptly sped off, its engine roaring as it disappeared into the night. "Well, that's weird," I said, breaking our kiss. "Are you sure there's nothing you want to tell me?" "For the last time, no, it's just some weirdo." Then headlights flashed across the lot again. The same car. It pulled up closer this time, stopping just a few feet from my side of the vehicle. "Stay calm," I whispered, more to myself than to her. Although Darlene was getting freaked out too at this point, and that was saying something. The driver stepped out, a bulky silhouette against the glare of headlights. He carried a flashlight, its beam slicing through the night as he approached. My heart was racing now. I thought maybe it was a cop, and relief started to creep in. Darlene rolled down my window as the flashlight beam settled on us. Before either of us could speak, the man raised his arm. The muzzle of a silver hand cannon glinted in the light. I felt the first shot tear into my arm. The pain was searing, like fire coursing through me. Darlene gasped, her hand flying to her neck as another shot hit her. Blood sprayed across the dashboard. "Darlene!" I shouted, panic surging as I struggled to move. I tried to open the door, but the handle was gone, shot completely off. My fingers scrambled uselessly against the metal. The man stepped back, his face emotionless, almost robotic. He turned and walked toward his car. My mind raced. Maybe this was my chance. If I could just get out, if I could just move. But he wasn't done. He was coming back. He fired again. This time bullets slammed into my chest and my side. Darlene was hit again too, her head slumped forward. I couldn't tell if she was breathing. My wounds overwhelmed me, every nerve writhing in pain. The man didn't say a word. He didn't run or stumble. He moved with cold precision back to his car. I heard the door slam, the engine rev, and he was gone, his taillights vanishing into the night. I don't know how long I sat there, bleeding, gasping for air. The world tilted, blurred, and darkened. Every breath was a battle in a war I'd surely lose. I thought about Darlene. Visions of her smile, her laugh and touch lifted me. I called her name weakly. "Darlene," hoping she'd respond. The sound of tires crunching on gravel pulled me back to reality. Was he back? Headlights illuminated the car. I heard voices. Young, panicked voices. The teenagers who found us must have called for help because soon after, sirens filled the air. When the cops arrived at the hospital, they asked me questions, but my words were slurred, broken, and fragmented like my body. I told them what I could. He was a white male, heavy-set, average height. He had curly hair, brown I think. He wore dark clothes. The memory of his face haunted me, calm and cruel. "Can I see Darlene?" I asked the officer. "I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this, but she didn't make it." I still hear the crunch of leaves underfoot, the rustle of wind in the trees, and Cecilia's laughter. It was a perfect day, the kind that lulls you into forgetting anything bad could happen. Lake Berryessa stretched out in front of us, calm and inviting. We'd found a small piece of shoreline, just secluded enough to feel like our own slice of Eden. The sun was dipping low when Cecilia noticed him. "Bri," she said softly, her voice tinged with unease. "Brian," she said more urgently this time, grabbing my arm. I followed her gaze to a man standing in the shadows, watching us. "It's probably just a fisherman," I said, trying to sound casual, but my stomach twisted. Something about the way he stood, still and silent, sent chills through me. Minutes later, he began walking toward us. He wore a black hood, his face hidden behind clip-on sunglasses. A strange white symbol, a cross within a circle, was emblazoned on a bib-like garment over his chest. There was something with a metallic shine in his hand, and just when I recognized what he was holding, "Do what I say and no one gets hurt," he said, his voice flat, emotionless. He claimed he was a convict who killed a guard and escaped from jail. He needed money and a car to get to Mexico. My heart pounded as I tried to reason with him. "Take whatever you want. The car is yours," I said. I tried to keep my voice steady. I tried to stay calm for Cecilia's sake. She was trembling beside me, clutching my hand. He tossed a length of plastic clothesline to Cecilia. "Tie him up," he ordered. Cecilia's hand shook as she looped the line around my wrists. She fumbled with the knots, leaving them loose. The man noticed. He crouched down, tightening the bindings until they bit into my skin. Then he tied Cecilia's hands as well. "Is that necessary?" I shouted. "I need time," he said. Within seconds, we were both tightly bound, the rope bearing into our flesh, but he wasn't leaving. Instead, he pulled a knife. And that's when I knew. This wasn't a robbery. This was something else. Something far worse than I could imagine. I felt a flash of pain so intense it stole my breath. He plunged the blade into me 6 times, each thrust a fiery explosion that left me gasping and paralyzed. Cecilia screamed, her voice cutting through the agony. She begged him to stop, but he turned to her next. She took 10 blows. The sound of torn flesh cut to my soul as her cries faded to silence. And just like that, he was gone. The world felt unbearably quiet, other than the faint whisper of the lake and the gurgle of my own labored breathing. I could hear my heart slowing as blood pooled beneath me, soaking into the sand. "Cecilia," I whispered, my voice weak. She didn't respond. I couldn't move my hands, so I inched toward her, using my teeth to work at the knots binding her wrists. It took what felt like an eternity, but finally, I freed her. She was so pale, her eyes fluttered, open, then closed, like someone trying to adjust to seeing in the dark. But the sun was still high in the sky. "Help's coming," I lied. Hours passed before we heard voices. A fisherman and his son heard our cries and went for help. Park rangers arrived first. Their faces said it all as they took in the scene. They tried to comfort us, bringing blankets and water until the ambulance came. The ride to the hospital was a blur. Cecilia drifted in and out of consciousness, giving a description of our attacker to the deputies who questioned her. Her voice was faint but determined. I was immediately rushed into surgery at the hospital. When I woke, Cecilia was gone. And not just from my room, from the world. I replay that day constantly in my mind. I remember the man's calm demeanor, the symbol on his chest, the way he wrote on my door after leaving us to die. He marked it with his crimes. Vallejo, December 20th, 1968. July 4, 1969. And our date, September 27th, 1969. Next to the dates, he wrote the words, by knife, as if it were some kind of boast, or some gross irony that he used it to write and to kill my Cecilia. The Zodiac Killer, they called him. He became a ghost, taunting the police with letters and ciphers, but they never caught him. I've told my story countless times, hoping it might lead to answers. Decades have gone by, but nothing ever came. Nothing but the questions. Why us? Why Cecilia? I'll never forget her bravery, her strength in the face of unimaginable terror. And I'll never forget the man who stole her life and left me permanently scarred. My soul cut far deeper than my flesh. I still drive by that lake from time to time. I don't know why, but I get out of my car and listen to the whispering waves of Lake Berryessa, hoping he'll return. I'll kill him.